My name is Mark Simpson, and I'm a professor at Western Kentucky University. I work for the School of Journalism and Broadcasting, specifically in the Advertising and Public Relations Department. I graduated from a rural high school, small class, attended Marshall University, which was the university that was nearest to where I grew up. My ultimate plan was not to work in the advertising or public relations industry. Actually, I went in and got my degrees in art. I spent most of my time in school painting and making prints. So I was a printmaker. When I graduated from Marshall, I had to have a job, so I started casting around again in the community where I grew up, and I ended up working part-time for the Army Corps of Engineers, and that turned into a full-time job. It actually turned into a 17-year career. And so in the period of time that I worked for the Corps of Engineers, I was a photographer, graphic designer, illustrator, archivist, part-time historian. I did a little bit of everything. I also worked very closely with people who did marketing for the military, and I worked closely with the public relations people, and that probably is what got me started thinking along the lines of working in this industry, in PR and advertising. I was a child of the 60s, so probably I was influenced also to be interested in advertising because I was at least in part raised in front of a television set. And I grew up in the sort of grand days of the early development of TV, and I watched a lot of television and watched a lot of television commercials, and I'm sure that those things had an influence on me as I was, making my way through my life. I taught at the defense school for the military for a little while too, and that sort of planted the seed for me to want to continue teaching. I started looking at possibilities in the community, and of course I was here in Bowling Green, so a job was open here at the time. I applied for it. Cliff called me in for an interview. I was lucky enough to get the job. The original reason that I came into the program was to teach some of the creative classes, but most especially the interactive classes. When we started teaching interactive advertising way back in 2000, it was a little piece of the bigger overall sort of scheme of things in the advertising world. Because of changes in the way people have been communicating over the last 10 years or so, and because of the tremendous impact the internet has had on what we do, the discipline of interactive advertising has grown tremendously, and so it's become a much bigger program within the school, and more important, I think, for a lot of our students.